You ever have a deadline that feels far away? So far away, it almost feels fake. Like it belongs to some future version of you. A version who is somehow more disciplined, more focused, more in control. Yeah, that version of you never shows up. Back in college, I had this pattern. Every time I got an assignment, I'd create this beautiful plan. Day 1, start early. Day 2, build momentum. Week 2, stay consistent. Finish, calm, confident, proud. It looked perfect on paper. In reality, nothing happened. Days slipped, then weeks, then suddenly, panic. And somehow, like magic, I'd transform into a productivity machine at the last possible moment. Not because I wanted to, because I had no choice. But then came the monster. A 90-page thesis. Not a small assignment, not a quick task. A year-long project. And this time, I told myself, no more last-minute chaos. This is different. I designed a system. Start slow, build gradually, peak at the end. Simple, logical, almost elegant. The first month passed. Nothing. The second month passed. Still nothing. So I adjusted the plan. Then I adjusted it again. Then I stopped adjusting and just avoided thinking about it altogether. Time didn't slow down, it sped up. Months collapsed into weeks, weeks collapsed into days. And then one morning, reality hit me like a truck. 3 days left, 0 pages written. What happened next shouldn't be physically possible. 72 hours, no real sleep, pure adrenaline. I became a different person. Focused, relentless, unstoppable. I wrote all 90 pages, ran across campus, submitted it seconds before the deadline. For a brief moment, I felt like a genius, like I had hacked the system, like maybe this chaos was actually my method. It wasn't. The truth? It was terrible. Exhausted work, rushed thinking, barely held together. And deep down, I knew it. That's when I started asking a question that bothered me for years. Why do I do this? Why do I wait, even when I know it will hurt me? So I started observing my own behavior, and what I discovered felt less like psychology and more like a story happening inside my head. Because it turns out, you don't have one mind, you have 3. First, there's the planner. This is the logical part of you, the one that sets goals, makes schedules, imagines a better future. It's calm, rational, vision-driven. It wants you to win. Then, there's the monkey. And the monkey doesn't care about your goals. The monkey lives for one thing, right now. What feels good, what's easy, what's fun. The monkey sees your plans and laughs. You sit down to work. The planner says, let's begin. This matters. The monkey says, or we could check one video. Just one. Then another. Then somehow, you're deep into a random rabbit hole that has absolutely nothing to do with your life. And the worst part? You're aware of it. You know you shouldn't be there, but you stay anyway. Welcome to the place where time disappears and guilt quietly grows. I call it the dark playground. It looks like relaxation, but it doesn't feel like peace. Because deep down, you know, you didn't earn this. So why doesn't the planner take control? Why doesn't logic win? Because there's a third character, silent most of the time, but terrifying when it wakes up. The panic monster. The panic monster doesn't care about your comfort. It only shows up when things get serious, when the deadline is real, when consequences are unavoidable, when failure becomes visible, and when it appears, everything changes. The monkey runs, the planner takes control, and suddenly, you become the person you wish you were all along. Focused, driven, efficient. That's the system. That's why you can waste 2 weeks doing nothing and then do 2 weeks of work in one night. And for a long time I thought, okay, maybe this works. Maybe this chaotic cycle is just how some of us function. But then I noticed something dangerous. This system only works when there's a deadline. What about the things that don't have one? Your health, your dreams, your relationships, the life you keep saying you'll start soon. There's no panic monster for those, no urgency, no countdown, no immediate consequences. So what happens? Nothing. Days turn into months, months turn into years, and one day you look back and realize you weren't living, you were waiting. This is the quiet form of procrastination. Not dramatic, not visible, but far more destructive. Because it doesn't crash, it just slowly fades your life away. At some point, I had to accept something uncomfortable. There are no non-procrastinators, just people who figured out how to deal with this battle better. Because everyone has a monkey. Everyone avoids something. So the real question isn't, do you procrastinate? It's, what are you postponing that actually matters? Imagine your life as a calendar, not in years, in weeks. A finite number of small boxes. That's it. That's your time. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You've already used a lot of them. So if there's something you've been delaying, something important, something meaningful, something that scares you a little, don't wait for the panic monster. Because for the things that matter most, it might never come. Start before you feel ready. Start while it's uncomfortable. Start while the monkey is still talking. Because your life isn't waiting.